It's kind of ironic that the unity of a black and white checkered flag signals that a race is over. Because over here in America, there is no unity. And the dividing line between blacks and whites is where most people would say that all of our problems first started. And I hate to have to be one of the ones to have to say it, but racism in this world will never be finished. Because so long as we all agree that we can do whatever we want with our own life, then you will always have people recklessly aiming after their goals, shooting at the wrong targets. What I'm trying to say is that some of us feel marked. That's why you got gangsters in the neighborhood throwing up their sets, feeling like outside of the hood they ain't got nowhere to go. That's on your mark, get set, go. And these racially charged marches are set to go on forever, because no matter what, there will always be people who feel marked by the worst of hatred. Homophobia. I only hate you just because you confused about who to give your love to. And so instead of giving you aid, they tell you that AIDS is your retribution. Religious persecution. You can serve any God that you want to here in America, but because only Jesus makes the devil feel threatened, in other countries they keep killing off all of the Christians. The kids I grew up with over here in Detroit, we didn't get the proper education. That means they screwed with our schooling. We were in class as classmates under classism. No daddies in the home taught us male chauvinism. So now we don't know what it means to lead our women. Our women didn't learn how they were supposed to be treated. So we practicing sexism, trying to have orgasms instead of fruitfully organic conversations. And here I am thinking that at the start of a race, the guns were supposed to be pointing in the air. Everybody in their lanes, bang, then comes the acceleration. However, all I've seen here in my 30 years is the accelerated decline of a nation. Because the human race has always had our guns pointed at each other, another citizen shot over a stupid hate crime altercation. Divided into our own lanes by white chalk lines and green lines. That's dead body outlines and dollar signs. We can't even agree on how the human race even started, but everybody fighting for change, holding up picket signs, looking for salvation. We all just want peace, but there are absolutely no peace treaties that we could ever sign for all of this discrimination. We quick to give each other a piece of our mind. We got bullet points in our brain. That pet peeve list stay fully loaded like a lethal weapon. But never a piece of our heart, because the love in this world is dead. Some of us would rather see someone dead or behind prison gates than to ever see them again at the gates of heaven. You got white people who like, I think my white light shines through to make up all of the other colors in the prism. And because black ain't a part of the rainbow, I took it upon myself to decide that if you are African American, then you ain't one of God's children. Just because I don't like that man's hue, I decided he ain't human. And I don't care how light-skinned she is, she still don't fit into our spectrum. And then you got black people who like, you know what, I'd rather call you white trash than to help you with your baggage and park your trailer because I'm still blaming your ancestors for making Rosa Park. Yeah, I'm black, but still just as racist as you are because my own ignorance has taught me to hate you for being Caucasian, for no other reason than European Caucasian. Instead of looking at my own reflection, here I am still pointing my finger at you for everything that's wrong with this nation. Still talking about reparations, as if I was ever your slave and you and I ain't from the very same generation. What I'm telling y'all right now is, who are we blaming? Meanwhile, we don't even see the devil out here somewhere laughing, watching all of us humans race from the rafters. Got the upper echelon of society up there teaching us how much Black Lives Matter, because he'd rather keep us fighting against each other than to realize that he is the one behind the division of all of the sisters and the brothers. The devil want to watch us all burnt black, burning rubber on top of each other, trying to leave our skid mark on this earth while he's in the mark of the beast. He wants to see us all screeching and gnashing our teeth, and one day there will be world peace, but it still won't be God's peace. Can't y'all see? The devil got us all marked. We missing the mark. We all living to change the world to fit our own selfish individual ideologies. We, the human race, are running to leave behind family legacies, while Satan spitting on our spirit got us blinded by hell smoke, too psychologically sweaty to see that all along we've been competing with the wrong enemy. The media forever using police brutality to start up race rallies. That's a rally race. Got us rallying against each other, drag queens and drag races. Got us dragging each other into the ground and running over one another through the shadow of death's valley. Entertainment stands for entertain men. That TV screen only reflects to us a misconstrued reality. Please start publicizing all of the white men who got shot by police officers. Stop with all the black and white distortion so that the picture can be projected properly. Got us out here racing through hell's pits with no pit stops. Just pick up your picket sign and pick a side. Are you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you white or black? Are you this or that? Presidential elections are nothing but political pep rallies. When I was 21, one of the most ignorant things that I ever did in my life was voted for Obama just because he promised hope. And when I looked in the mirror, he looked just like me. What I'm telling you is that I gave precedence to who became the presidents over the presence of God. Because my faith was like a turtle trying to outrun rabbit's feet. It was built on luck instead of concrete. Just another way the devil keeps us all divided into our own lanes, falling over our own fallacies. He out here stripping our souls. His track spikes cut into us like deer meat, while he making us run bare feet. Because he hates that God loves us all, and he'd rather see you fall flat on your face than to fall on your face at God's feet. We out here hurdling over harassment that we believe came from another human being, which actually came from a fallen angel who want to see everything except see us all soaring to the heavenlies. Please stop portraying oppressive white people and the police as the enemy. Because you know good and well, even right now as we speak, there are babies in other countries being forced into slavery by black men with the same melanin as me. But when we turn on the TV, you only show us the images that you want us to see. All the while, these child soldiers being looked over. And I'm not saying that we can go over there and do anything about it. I'm just pleading with y'all that instead of burying each other, that we dig deeper. The devil got us all marked. In this country focusing on religion, racism, classism, sexism, and all of these other isms, because he just don't want us to recognize that the culprit isn't the Constitution. It's always been him. We all falling victims to his isms because it is him. And him don't want us to win. Him want us to serve him. He want all of us to run this human race and be disqualified by our own prideful sin. He would rather us place all of our faith into who becomes the president. Because if we believe in manpower, then he can have power over us because we remove God's power and rely on our own intelligence. We have to understand that we're all learning from each other. Human logic is just us relay racing through this life, passing information around one to another. And in God's eyes, all of our worldly wisdom is just a baton for our own arrogance. People passing out over celebrities like they seen God because we don't understand how we've attracted our own pestilence. We've been running through this life, passing up God, content with being peasants, plagued by more than COVID, because the devil has taught us to believe in ourselves. And so now we think that we can keep our own lives on track within our own strength. The human race's greatest weakness is that we all want to believe in our own power, think that we can plan out and steer the outcome of our own lives, end up getting steered away from the one and only true God who can steer us away from the negligence of our own ignorance. The devil only instituted power structures to balance out the status quo. So now he got us all falling right in line with his regime, just like lane placements. He got people in high and low positions who don't even know that they're being possessed because they don't even believe in demons. They just believe in themselves, so they think that their success and all of their possessions came as a result of their own persistence. He got us all lined up, just like at the start of a race, trying to make us feel like we should be fighting for our place, for a position, for positions and possessions, while blaming each other and all of the people who are over us for not making provisions whenever we start feeling like we ain't in this life winning. What I'm trying to tell y'all right now is that the problems of this world are everybody's fault because we all make bad decisions. And even the president is only just one person. The government will never be able to change this world or make everybody happy because the pursuit of our own happiness is what is tearing this country apart. All of us going in circles like a racetrack, chasing after our own hearts, doing laps. Go figure, that's figure eights, because we chasing 8 figures because our only end goal is to succeed at hitting our own marks. Everybody's chasing their goals, trying to hit them like checkpoints, pressing towards that mark, pressing each other's buttons, pointing fingers at each other, doing checks and balances, living to cash our next check. We say we want to see the world balance, but what we really mean is that we just want God to give us the peace of having a piece of what we feel like should have been ours from the start. All of these false gods got people believing in falsehoods, chasing fake treasure, and that's where all of this false starts. If we the human race, what I'm telling y'all is that the devil tricked us into a false start. And we can't get a fresh start because he done got a head start on getting into our heads, making us believe in his make-believe story that there can be more than one God on top of the world's ark. Illuminati triangular pyramids at one time had the world shocked. We focused on that more than the fact that the God of the archangels has always been sitting at the top of the whole arch. God intentionally made the circumference of this whole earth circular like a racetrack, because he already knew that we as the human race would be going in circles, running back and forth, forward and back, trying to figure out where the finish line is at. And the devil, he got us all divided by imaginary lines just like the equator, because we don't equate him with all of the division on this planet. All of the evil in this world, he planned it. And ultimately, he wants to keep us all separated from the one and only true living God, because that's the only way he can keep us at a disadvantage. And we've went right ahead and allowed him to divide us like hemispheres, because him is where fear starts. We're afraid of what we don't understand. We don't understand ourselves, therefore we don't understand each other. So we brand each other. That's mark each other like livestock. We see people on the news acting like animals, and all we see is something wrong with them. We treat them like laughing stocks. Instead of really trying to understand someone, we just say he or she is bipolar, call someone crazy with a split personality, but what we don't see is the pain and the fear that they feel inside from being attacked by the enemy. We just like, why is he dressing like a woman? Why does that young girl dress so racy? We don't really care how they got there because we have no real appetite for empathy. All we know is that some of the things that these quote-unquote misguided people do makes us sick to our stomach. We want to throw up because it drives us crazy. We way too busy keeping up with the news to even recognize that we've lost our own sanity. Because even though we might not be out there pillaging and killing, raping, child molesting, and trafficking other humans, that still doesn't mean that the devil hasn't driven it into our minds that the only reason you are alive is to be driven by your own carnality. What am I saying? I'm saying that you might not have racing thoughts, but all of us are just one bad turn, one bad decision, one devastating and demoralizing reality away from crashing into a mental breakdown. Because we as human beings are not strong on our own, and we're all selfish innately. The devil absolutely loves people who think that they are a good person, because then he don't got to fight with you to make you feel like you need to do anything differently. If you really want to know how the human race started, all of us were born separated from God. That's why we don't know who he is or know our own history. So now, of course, we got those of us that say that nobody knows who God is and that religion is just another catalyst for division. Your God can be whoever you want it to be. Just go ahead, keep living your life, serving whoever or whatever makes you happy. But by default, we serve the devil because he is the God of this world. He knows that. So all he wants you to do is believe in yourself, keep chasing your own dreams, follow your own selfish heart, and live on happily. He got each and every one of us marked. People always out here screaming about equality. But the truth is, people will never be equal because we as a people have been conditioned and trained to treat each other like last place priority. What I mean is, I don't care whether we say we love money, power, respect, or how deeply any of us regard our own family. Because regardless, the only reason why any of us say this in the first place is because we all come first place in our own lives. We even only say family first because their lives revolve around us, which means that we choose to live for our family because truthfully, doing so only enhances our own life's quality. If you're a believer but you don't quite agree with me, I encourage you to open up the word and check out Luke 6:32-33. Real love isn't just taking care of your kids, your wife, your loved ones, your responsibilities. It's actually when you start reaching beyond your box and loving people who did something to you or can't do nothing for you. I'm talking people who can't quite benefit your life by returning your hospitality. Now let me say this again, because I don't think y'all really hearing me. We live in a country where we grow up being taught to follow our own hearts, believe in ourselves and love ourselves. Everything revolves around self. Yet people are still so perplexed about why this country has absolutely no unity. So please, please, please hear me when I say that we only stand divided because we live in an every man, every woman for themselves society. Here in America, we tell people, do you. You can be whoever you want to be. The world is yours. Go out, pursue whatever allows you to live most happily. And this is exactly how the devil sent us racing right into a state of careless idolatry. He literally taught us to treat our accomplishments, our possessions, the people that we choose to love like our trophies. We feel like we winning, but we're sinning because we center our lives around centerpieces. We say we want to see world peace. We take pride in being good people, but our own pride is the same reason why we as human beings are forever bumping heads and we can never quite just agree. What this means is that whether we believe in God or not, we are all living self-righteously to some degree. No matter what, we will always have different motivations in our hearts, our own agendas. So now instead of being one nation under God, indivisible, you just got a bunch of citizens who treat each other invisible. No communal camaraderie. Everybody just running after their dreams alongside their own families, living inside of boxes within our own circles. Everybody separating into sections, living out our lives separately. We ain't even got to say a word because out of the abundance of the heart, our mouths speak. Which means that the devil want to keep us separated from God, blinded and quiet. He like, shut up and let me keep your heart divided so I can keep you living for all of this blasphemy. That's why he separated the church from the state. Segregation. Parents separated. Daddy was just a sperm donor who separated mommy's legs only to go off and lead a separate life. So now we all feel slighted instead of united because this demonically driven world teaches us that our universal goal should be to just live your life, separating ourselves from any, everything, and everyone, whatever doesn't make you happy. And there stands the statues of our broken and careless liberties. Because we as a people learn to care more about our individuality, uniqueness, originality than Philippians 2 and 3. So very naturally, we grow up pouring more into building up our own lives, our own body of work, rather than working to build each other up tirelessly. We get tired of each other. We bust the air out of their wills. I said we no longer heirs in God's will because we forsake him for our vanity. What I'm saying is that our separatism doesn't come from racism and religion or any of these other isms. All of the world's division perpetuates only because everybody is divided, estranged, separated, living comfortably and content with tunnel vision in our living rooms, building pipe dreams, watching television, instead of envisioning ourselves giving everything that we got to treating other people more important. We care more about our own freedom of choice than the sound of anybody else's voice, other people's opinion. So now the presidential election got everybody going to the polls, running and racing. And we can give little to no care less about anybody else's poll position. It's not we voted, it's I voted individually. And if you break down the word individually, you can see therein lies the divide gradually. We're not even fighting or voting for what's best for the human race. Each of us is singularly voting for the change that we want to see. Which means that we are all only voting selfishly. Because if you and I want changes that will affect the world differently, then that means that the changes that you want to make conflict with me. George Orwell, 1984. And this is what has happened all throughout history. Because there will always be contrasting views guided by a blind agenda impressed upon us by the hierarchy. There will always be a world divided by our own iniquity, deficiencies, everybody living independently, focusing on self-sufficiency instead of God's supremacy. As the devil keeps lying to us, divide and conquer, he's still using the world's oldest war strategy. Of course, he got us all going off course, as he subtly yet very clearly redirects the course of history. You might not believe in the New World Order, and I'm not saying that I know when it's going to be. But if you still alive when this comes to pass, just remember that I told you that the devil is going to try to replicate God's peace by forcing everybody to serve one united entity. And I hate talking like this because I know that a lot of people think that this is just a theory of conspiracy. They make mockery, but that's okay because I'm more of the mindset that we can die any day anyway. So you better choose today who your God gonna be. For those that say that religion divides us, it's so much simpler than that. We all have the freedom and the free will to live for whoever or whatever we choose. And it's as simple as we all choose to choose differently. The only difference between Adolf Hitler and Martin Luther King Jr. is that they both had something different in their hearts, which gave them different aspirations for how they thought this world should be. Adolf was trying to create superhumans because he felt superior. Satan thought he was a supreme being. He said he was stronger than the God who created him. So what he was doing sounds a whole lot like the devil to me. And even though Martin Luther King was fighting for equal rights and he had a dream, I'm from a different generation. So my fight isn't to get the people of this world to see each other as equals, but to lead them away from this world to the one God who loves us all equally. Because the devil been beating us down, whipping on us like racehorses. Got us screaming till we hoarse. That's thoroughbred bestiality. He be treating us like greyhounds, trying to muzzle us. Want to see us running in dirt, holding us down, put us in the back of that Greyhound bus, then have us fighting over skin colors like wild dogs, petting us like, you such a good doggy. He really want to turn on our psyche because he's a psycho. Motorboats and motorcycles got us drowning out God's voice because we got the wrong motives, and them internal motors be revving idly. That pride got us all falling because he kicks us till we can't stand. That's a kickstand. He just can't stand that God-given human vitality. He want us all weary and tired, treading through this life losing tread on our tires. We in need of an entire change. That's in need of a tire change. But he want us all at hell's pit stop and he won't stop. He don't want to see change. He want to see us in chains. That's why he created slavery. He just keep on fueling our fire and exciting our anger with all of his negativity. Tensions are high because of the low economy. That's poor fuel efficiency. We getting nowhere in this world no matter how far we've come because the devil keep feeding us all of that bad energy. Yet, we will always look at the world and we blame people like Hitler for all of its tragedy. Because we don't think that we fools that got a heart that pumped the same fuel, we got the same condition. That's a heart that has its own vision. We stop for gas, but when God want to fill us up, we won't stop to listen. Some would probably draw the comparison that Hitler enslaving Dr. King was fighting against segregation. But since we all want to say that God could possibly be more than one person, we remove the one and only true God out of the equation. So therefore, truthfully, all I see is just two men with contrasting opinions. What I mean is, if there is more than one right way to live life, then there is no definitive way to live. And if there is no definitive way to live, then that's what the problem is. Everybody going their own way, getting in each other's way, doing things our own way. Have it your way. How can anybody say that Adolf was a bad man if there's no right way? In his mind, he was right. And within each of our own minds, whatever we choose to live for, we think that it's right. And this is exactly why human beings fight. Everybody in the human race is running at their own pace instead of God's speed. We all have our own moral compass. I'm going left and you going right. That's right wing and left wing. The devil done lost his wings. So now he tells us to believe in ourselves and we can fly. Ever since we were babies, he been filling us up with lies because he's already branded us stupid enough to believe anything. I'm trying to tell you, he got us all marked. He want to see us all marked up and messed up. He hates us because God loves us. Humans hate humans because the love of God ain't in us. And this all started because the devil got to us all by getting into our hearts and tearing our personal relationship with God apart. And then God said that only in the reunification of his body will all of the division in this world ever cease. But one of the biggest issues in the Christian church is that we say that we're not of this world, but we're divided among ourselves because we're in this world using God's name to mark our territory, but all we doing is aiming after the same things. We want people who don't believe in the same God or just started walking with him to meet us where we are, to speed up their walk and catch up to our level. So instead of lovers of Christ, we often tend to be acting more like devils. Because the very same discrimination that we say is taught to the world by Satan is what we reflect in how we're living when we don't show patient love to people who disagree or haven't fully grown to understand the magnitude of our personal decision. We all need some grace in this race if we gonna run this race with strides of grace. And people always gonna have their skepticisms, especially when the spirit of the devil is in the earth stirring up sensationalism. But the reason why I personally chose to believe in Jesus is because he is a person, not a religion. There is a difference. I've somewhat studied a few different religions, and to make it simple, Jesus is the only one who came down here to get us. Jesus ain't had no prejudice, and he didn't come down here to be served. He came down here to serve us. He came down here in the form of a man, but he didn't want to be worshiped because he was trying to teach us not to serve flesh. We've still learned to live self-serving lives because the devil taught us to live after our own pleasures and only serve those who serve us. But Jesus teaches us to deny ourselves and be selfless because everything in this world reinforces that we should focus on ourselves more because the devil wouldn't want you to think any less of yourself. He wants us to be selfish. The only reason why any of us can look at each other and see a different complexion is because none of us have ever seen God's face. But Jesus came down here and died for the entire human race because he loves us so much that he's seen all of the hate and sin in this world. And instead of being another false god sitting somewhere on his throne with a bunch of rituals and rules set in place, he wanted to take our place. When you love your children, you give them rules so they don't hurt themselves. But even if they don't listen to you, rather than watch them hurt, if you truly love them, then you would still rather take their place. What I'm telling y'all right now is that Jesus is so much more than a religion, because he is all things to all people. And every time we read that Holy Bible, we get to know the actual character of God, which is like talking on the phone to your best friend, listening to their voice as you picture in their face. Jesus wants an intimately personal relationship with us all. That's why he went out of his way. My question to anyone who believes in any other God is, if your God is so real, then how come he still has never come down here and left his personal mark on this earth to this day? Oh, I know. He's somewhere up in the rafters with all of his laughter, watching all of this disaster, but still calling himself your master, still teaching us that Black Lives Matter because he wants us all burnt black, no matter what color. Some people would probably say that I need to stop with all of my chatter. They like, how do you know that Jesus came down here? Look at this world, it's so severe. Why do we even believe that Abraham Lincoln is a real person would be my short answer. You don't have to be there to believe that a person did something. They say Abraham Lincoln signed the 13th Amendment all the way back in 1865 that abolished slavery. And I ain't never been nobody's slave except a slave to my own sin. So I say that Jesus is responsible for saving me. Jesus died on that cross because he so loved this world. But he never said that he was going to do anything to change this evil world. He just came down here and asked if we would let the love of God change you and me. Because the next time we see him, he going to be destroying this earth with fire. The human race is not going to end peacefully. He doesn't force any of us to love him because he wants us to be born again within ourselves and to grow up and love him just as naturally as we learn to focus on ourselves and love our own families. The entire human race was supposed to be family. And when Jesus died to kill death, he was doing a family intervention because the fact that we kill each other is a family tragedy. The gap isn't between us and them, whoever them is to you. It's between us and God, because everybody in this world trying to get ahead, getting ahead of ourselves, and this is why we have no harmony, and the human race always competes. If we can't agree on nothing else, we all know that everybody in the human race is gonna die. It's only a matter of when, where, how, and why. The devil got us all marked for death, but Jesus was killed on the cross to become the target. He abolished death, and when his spirit lifted, he was hoisting our eternity. Jesus took our lashes and marks like a slave. He stepped up, and they didn't put a gold medal around his neck, just silver chains and bronze nails through his hands and feet. And because he took our place, now the Holy Trinity got first, second, and third place inside of me. And after I'm done running my race, all I pray is that even though I ain't never played professional sports a day in my life, that God still considers me worthy to be called an athlete. I know that I will never be an Olympic sprinter because I'm just a limping, unprolific sinner. So I thank God that he still chose to pick me. I ain't trying to win no championships. My only goal is to win souls. The devil got us all marked. But mark my words, I ain't never shot a gun, but I bet you I'm a marksman when it comes to shooting down the twisted imaginations of the enemy. Jesus died on that cross to prove that he was one of us. I mean that we are one of him, that he wanted us. With his last breath, he cried out, "It is finished." Meaning we got to put down the picket signs and pick up our cross to cross the finish line. His undying love is where every race cross paths, no matter what color we may be. He said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So while we running this race, I'm living my life putting everybody in front of me. Like, go ahead, you can get in front of me. Winning for me is to see you again in heaven because I want to see you win. Yeah, I might be black, but my black power doesn't come from my blackness. It came from Christ living in me. So I pray that his colorful light shines outwardly. What I mean is that I'm only living to put the hue in humility. The Savior is coming back, and I want to be in the back with my cross on my back. Miss Rosa, I'm trying to tell him that's the only time I'ma ever be okay with that because that's when I know that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. We're all going to have to meet our maker. The human race begins and ends with Jesus. Living for him has freedoms and peace that this ran over world will never see. God said that all we have to do is meet him halfway. He is the life, truth, and the way. Run to him and he'll come to you. That's crossroads because the cross will always be where the tracks meet different races. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. I pray that you were blessed by it. And if you were, please take the time to share it, like it down below, subscribe to the channel. And I just absolutely have to thank all the amazing photographers that helped bring this poem to life because I couldn't have did it without y'all. I don't know any of you guys, but it's amazing how God can bring art together. And I just want to say thank y'all, and I hope that at least one of you guys sees this poem and see your picture in it and is blessed by it, because it was just such a blessing to be able to go on the site unsplash.com and pick up all of these amazing photos to help bring or paint the picture that I was trying to paint. So I just gotta thank you all so much. And that's it. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. I love y'all from here to heaven. And we out.